Well, hello. Welcome to Root Source. This is Bob O'Dell with Gidon Ariel. And we wanted to catch up with Gidon and ask him about the recent meeting with Donald Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that occurred yesterday. So, Gidon, let's get right to it. But first, how are you doing today?
Thank you very much. Doing quite well. It's a little cold and rainy here, but that's a blessing as well.
Indeed, indeed. Rain is always welcome, is it not? So, I watched the body language of Netanyahu when he was on stage with President Trump. And to me, he looked happier than I had ever seen him on stage. Almost giddy, if you will. Do you agree?
He was happy. Everybody there was happy. I think they only let people into that room if they promised to be happy on stage. I think that we've been waiting for this event ever since really November. What was it, 8th, 9th? Since Trump was elected, everybody was saying, let's wait until he's actually in. Who knows what's going to happen until the inauguration? Who knows what Obama might pull? And since the inauguration, everybody is saying, let's wait until Netanyahu gets there, make sure that he doesn't make any mistakes either. Obviously, Netanyahu knew what he was going to do, and it looks like everything worked out just okay, so everybody's happy.
So I want to ask you about some of the policy items that were discussed, but before that, I think there's a couple of things that many Americans were watching for very closely. The first was, would Trump declare Jerusalem as the eternal capital of Israel? And that had absolutely no mention in the call or in the press conference. And then the other one was, would he move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem? And to that one, he did say that it is under consideration. So here's my question for you. In Israel, are those two issues even talked about in the circles that you hang with, or is that an American preoccupation?
Okay, second of all, you asked about moving the embassy. The policy of Trump has not changed since he first was elected. That he's considering it. It's a tough issue. We're thinking about it. So nothing's changed over there. And therefore, nobody is, I would say, disappointed, here in Israel at least. If he would have said, we've considered it, and even though we wanted to, we won't be able to do it, okay. He hasn't said that. He said, we're thinking about it. In other words, that wasn't an issue that Netanyahu's group and Trump's group decided to focus on at this event. Same thing as far as Jerusalem, the eternal capital. What capital, pardon the expression, would that add for either side by doing that? That's not an issue as far as we're concerned. It's not something that we wanted. It seems to be nothing that Netanyahu and the Israeli side wanted to barter in this deal. You say this, and that is something that we're asking for, so then we'll owe you something. If he would mention it, that would be nice. If he wouldn't have mentioned it, it's not like he's going to tell somebody else, Jerusalem, the eternal capital of the Jewish people of Israel. I never said such a thing. He would never say that, so it's not an issue. So we're not too worried about that. I don't remember if he invoked God's name at all. So that would also be something that some religious people would be disappointed about. But okay, that's not a chess move that we're looking for in this chess game, I think.
Interesting. Yeah, and also that very interesting comment about God's name. I didn't even think about that one. I'm sure someone can put on the blog on this item whether that happened or not. So the big news from this conference, at least from the standpoint of the American press, was that Trump backed away from forcing a two-state solution on the peace process. He said he's not going to promote a one-state or a two-state solution, but he's just going to promote any deal that the Israelis and Palestinians can actually agree on. And this does change policy. I understand the two-state solution really started at the end of Clinton's presidency. George W. Bush picked it up and even formalized it by calling it, two states for two peoples. Obama made it the absolute foundation of everything he tried to do. And now Trump says, hey, let's just do what works. How do you read that? And how do other Israelis read that? Is that really good news here?
First of all, you said yourself that Obama made it a sine qua non of any policy discussion, a two-state solution. So I'm not surprised that Trump is walking away from that. At first, when I first heard it, and a lot of people here also, it sounded like he was not as much moving away from a two-state solution, but moving towards a one-state solution. Because he said, if you want a one-state, I'll be for one state. If you want a two-state, I'll be for two states. So that for people who hear a one-state solution and they're worried about that, then obviously that is worrying. But I don't think so. I think, as you said, he's saying, I'm not going to promote one-state, two-state, three-state, red state, blue state. It doesn't matter to me. You guys have to come to a deal, and we don't have to push you to do that. And you, Prime Minister Netanyahu, I have complete trust in you that you're going to do this well. And frankly, I think that is the message that I got from this meeting. And I think that it's a very good meeting. Personally, I think that the two-state solution, and this is something that we've been talking about in right-wing circles in Israel for the past few days, is very bad. And so we're going to, and Netanyahu better not promote that, because he had promoted it here in Israel at the beginning of the Obama administration,
right?
Ostensibly to make meetings with President Obama more comfortable, because he really didn't move towards it during this whole two terms. But now that Obama's out of the picture, he doesn't have to focus on it as much. However, I don't think that he's walking away from it so fast. He wants to keep his cards close to his chest as well. So we'll see what happens with both of these leaders.
Yeah, and I think at least from Netanyahu's perspective, not being forced into a specific definition of two-state was great news for him, and that's my guess as to why he seems so happy on the stage. But let's talk about the point in time when I thought Netanyahu looked the most uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Trump said that he believed that a halting of settlement activity would be a good move right now, or at least for a while. Why would Netanyahu feel uncomfortable about that, do you think?
Netanyahu, of course, has Israeli politics to worry about, no less than international politics. And his coalition today in his government is very strong about pro-settlement. Both his leading Likud party, of which virtually all of the Likud members of Knesset have come out very strongly for pro-settlement, and his junior partner in his coalition, the Jewish Home Party, led by Naftali Bennett, its constituency also is very, very strong pro-settlement. So the fact that they're talking about it, he talked about it at all, and it seems that he talked about it a little bit, if I remember correctly, that is President Trump just picked it up off the cuff. He didn't. It wasn't in his opening in his opening remarks. It was a response to a question, if I remember. So he didn't.
Right.
And Trump did not be very careful not to talk about that topic, like he was very careful not to talk about other topics. But again, I think that the way he talked about it, I wouldn't give it too much cachet. I don't think that he was...
The he in that sentence is Trump or Netanyahu?
Trump. I don't think that Trump was trying to put a, what they call it, a hot air balloon, a test balloon to see, a trial balloon, to see how Israel would react if he would say, slow down on the settlement activity.
Yeah.
I don't think he's looked into it yet. I think that right now Israeli policy is Israel's change policies that they hold, and right now the policy is as it is, which is de jure no problem in building in settlements, de facto nothing but arrest of building in settlements, pretty much. And if we'll decide to do anything different, we'll see how they will respond, which we saw already a few weeks ago when Netanyahu announced that he's going to go forward on like 3,000, 5,000 units or something like that. So we got, I think, an American spokesman said, you should slow down on that. We're not sure it's okay. That's very different from very strong, you shouldn't do that. We're very much against it.
So, as I watched this press conference, I saw one main thing that seemed to be new, and I'd like to know if you consider this new as well. Netanyahu mentioned that the idea in discussions with Trump included that instead of trying to make peace directly between Israel and the Palestinians, that they might try to work on a larger deal, sort of an outside-in deal that would include other Arab neighboring countries. And, obviously coming from the fact that there is a bigger problem in play right now, two bigger problems in play in the Middle East than there were 5 years ago, the ISIS and now Iran on the path to nuclear weapons. So the question is, do you see this, do people in Israel and you're in circles you run with, do they see this as a new idea? And is it a possibly good idea?
Okay, when this is something that I noticed also. And at first I thought of the Madrid Peace Conference, which was initiated by President Bush and Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir came as the Israeli representative. And there were people around the table from many nations in the Middle East and elsewhere. And we came out of that Madrid conference, we went into that Madrid conference and walked out of it with a bad taste in our mouth, because we don't like having a vote together with too many other countries, because we will almost always be in the great minority. And after all, this is us we're talking about, not them. Especially if you're talking about Arab countries. On the other hand, I'm thinking that they might be considering some of the more friendly countries of Israel, specifically Saudi Arabia, maybe Qatar, Egypt, and I think especially Jordan. I think that to bring Jordan, as far as Judea and Samaria, the West Bank is concerned, into to enlarge the pie, to think out of the box and bring Jordan into the negotiations as far as the West Bank is concerned, and to bring perhaps Egypt in as far as Gaza is concerned, even though that doesn't seem to be up for discussion at this point. But it might be. In other words, Israel might say, listen, we'll negotiate about the West Bank with Jordan, only if Egypt will also come in so that we can get Hamas out of Gaza Strip, because they're really giving us a headache over there, pardon the expression. So that might be what they're talking about. Again, we're not talking about these two sides having a card to play that will force Israel's hand. Just the opposite. I think that perhaps Trump and Netanyahu are saying, listen, as long as we can talk, Netanyahu and Trump, and Trump can raise ideas or Netanyahu can raise ideas before Trump goes ahead and says, hey, why don't we bring Egypt and Jordan to the table, for example. So it's to help Netanyahu reach something as opposed to force something on him. So again, this is just pie in the sky. I don't know if it's, obviously I wasn't there when all of the aides and all of the private meetings, but I think that is a possibility. And frankly, I think it's a good idea. I think that if we can, as it were, force these countries to take a little bit more responsibility for the Palestinian problem, then it might be something positive for Israelis and Palestinians.
Yeah, and I think there is a new reality in play that this Palestinian issue is really not even close to the biggest issue that some of these neighboring countries have in front of them right now.
Oh yeah.
And so we can thank the American administration for creating some of that. Well, this has been enlightening, and I really appreciate your time. And we can add questions in on the comments below for anything else that people want to ask. Really appreciate the time, Gidon. Any last word?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that in general, what we had yesterday was really an expected finish line for what we were waiting for. This was, I think that everything coming up to yesterday was choreographed towards this well-choreographed press conference and visit of Netanyahu. It wasn't just a press conference what we're focusing on, but everything that Netanyahu did while he was in Washington and in the United States. I don't know if he's visiting anywhere else, but it's all his aim that it will help him move his pieces in the right place. And I think that notwithstanding petty Israeli politics, I think that most Israelis trust Netanyahu a lot, and I think we trust, I'm saying we because I personally do, trust Trump a lot as far as Israel is concerned at this point. So we're praying for the best quite optimistically.
Well, that's great. And so for Root Source, this is a chat with Gidon Ariel. And please let us know if you like this format and things that we might improve or other questions that we might ask in the future. All right. Thank you so much. And until next time, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.